Chapter 15. You bastard! You left me! Pitsky, I thought you were dead! That's a lie! You left me out there to die! Before Machiko could do anything to prevent it, the seemingly weak Pitsky launched from her slumped position at the campsite and lunged across towards Abner Brookings. Her thick hands clamped around Brookings' neck, and she began to throttle the lawyer, shaking him violently. You left me! You left me! Brookings' eyes bugged. The surprise of the attack had caught him off guard, but he was not a defenceless or weak man. With one great heave, he pulled Petra Pitsky off her feet and then slammed her into the metal side of the ground crawler. Pitsky's hands lost their grip. Her eyes rolled up. She slid down the side of the bus, unconscious. Oh, great, said Machiko. She's going to tell us all about what she saw now. Brookings loosened his collar. He was gasping. You saw it! Self-defense! She was trying to kill me! Apparently with good reason, if you left her to die. I swear, we were both running. I thought she was a goner. If I thought I could have helped, I would have. She's all right, reported Sanchez, looking up from the unconscious body. Save the real story for later, said Machiko. Let's get her back to Evanston. We've got a report to make. Machiko sat down beside Sanchez. Their vehicle was bumping its way back home, and the man's dark eyes were directed towards the passing landscape. Nice planet, said Machiko. I've seen more beautiful. I've seen more dangerous. I've seen not nice planets that I like better, he said, not looking at her. I get the feeling you've been on your share. He shrugged. After you fight the bugs a while, you get sort of empty inside. You need to go away for a while, or you just get a bad case of interior rot. So why are you back in the bug hunt saddle? He looked at her. Money. A guy like you could earn money other ways. I did. Not enough. Let's just say this was an offer I think I could have refused, but I'd have been an idiot too. I think I know what you mean, but there's more to you than just money, isn't there, Sanchez? He looked at her. Is there? You fight bugs for a while. You get a sense of nobility, don't you? Like you're doing something important. I bet you haven't been doing anything really important for a while. Combating an intergalactic blight? Yeah. I guess it makes you feel like something more than a pile of shit. For the first time, something tremulous and deep crept into his intonation. Something beyond sardonic, monotone. She thought about this for a moment. We may have more in common than our brilliant and wonderful personalities, Machiko said finally. Maybe I should buy you a beer tonight and we can talk about it. He looked at her. Sure, can't hurt. A nice beer generally helps. She looked up and saw that they were approaching Evanstonville. And something tells me that after today, we're both going to need one, even though I generally don't drink the stuff. Miss Pitsky, how are you feeling? Better. Miss Pitsky, I can't tell you how sorry we are about what happened, said Livermore Evanston, in his most charming and mellifluous tones. Nonetheless, you were aware of the danger involved. It was in your contract with us, and you are an employee. Pitsky eyed them, daggers gleaming in her eyes. She said nothing, but the threat was there. I'm going to nail you if I can. Lawyers, thought Machiko Noguchi. What a lovely, lovely bunch. Take Brookings, for example. The bastard was sulking in a corner, clearly not wanting to be there, but waiting for the debriefing. Chet Zorsky was there, looking awake and aware and concerned, leaning on her chair and studying the patient, clearly taking mental notes. And, of course, there was old Evanston himself, solid but hovering. He'd come immediately to this treatment room when he'd heard there'd been another advisor located. May I suggest you settle the matter later? Said Machiko. What we need now is information. Miss Pitsky, we've pretty much heard your colleague's story about what happened on that safari. Would you care to give your version? Pitsky coughed. Are you all right? Asked the medtech, who cleaned the woman's cuts and applied the bandages. Yeah, little pain in the chest, catch in the throat. A glass of water? The medtech got her one, and Pitsky drank it all down. Yeah, better, thanks. She told her story. It was almost exactly the same story that Brookings had told, save for one significant strand of facts. The hunt, the hunters, the quarry, the invisible hunters, massacre, the run, loss of memory. The change of detail was that Brookings' valour had not quite been as much in evidence as he'd claimed. What happened when you tripped? Can't remember, she said, shaking her head. Something dark? I remember screaming and hearing my own muffled screams. And that was it. She put her hand to her chest. Nurse, do you have something that will settle my stomach? I seem to have developed a terrible case of heartburn. The woman looked uncomfortable, but nothing that made Machiko immediately alarmed. Something bothered her, though. And you were in the same location for about a day and a half? Most of it unconscious? I remember bashing about in the brush, but that was it. I'm just glad I'm... She accepted a glass of fizzing stuff with a thank you. Alive. Drank. They let her live, said Evanston. How curious. Perhaps they didn't know about her, suggested Zorsky. If she was out in the bushes, they just must have moved on. A possibility. If she'd run far enough away, they wouldn't have detected her heat image, thought Machiko. Then again, there were bugs in the area, and that was what bothered her. Brookings, did you see anything attack this woman? She demanded suddenly. Brookings shook his head. No, like I said, I thought she'd been killed, truly. Muffled screams, something over her head. Why hadn't she thought about this before? Brookings, this is very important. Is that the absolute truth? Because if it's not, this woman could be in danger from... Absolute truth, said Brookings, looking as though butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. Suddenly, a surprised look came over Pietzke's face. Her face twisted. Miss Pietzke, said the tech, are you all right? Pietzke belched. She took a breath and smiled. Oh, that's much better. Relief was obvious on the woman's face. Machiko relaxed. Pietzke fell off her chair. She writhed and screamed, and a sudden bubble bloomed on her chest. Get back! Cried Machiko. Too late. Before any of them, frozen with surprise, could do a thing, the bubble burst. Like a gory jack-in-the-box, flaps of bone and flesh lifted off, and suddenly a worm-like thing stood up in the middle of Pietzke's chest. Blood sprayed around the room like a crazy water sprinkler. They were all splattered with it. Petra Pietzke got one look at the creature she'd given crimson breech birth to, and then her head fell back, holding death in its eyes. The worm thing chittered at them, and started sliding out. Stand back! Cried Machiko. She pulled out her gun from its holster and fired at the creature. It slapped off to one side and skittered away. The two slugs slammed into Pietzke's body, kicking up divots of shattered ribs and gouts of flesh and blood. Machiko tracked the running, slithering thing. No question. Bug larvae time. If she knew one thing, she knew she had to clip its wings before it flew into ductwork or down the hall to hide in some broom closet. She was grateful she'd had pistol practice. Now, though, she'd have to prove she could use it in the clinch. The thing was at the door, closed. It slithered quickly toward Shadow. Machiko squeezed off 3 shots. The first missed. The second bit off a chunk of flesh on the tail. The third ran directly into the head, exploding the ugly, bloody mass into an uglier, bloodier mass. The thing flipped over and commenced spasming, somehow still straining for escape. Machiko calmly walked over and put another bullet in it. The acid blood smoked as it ate away at the floor. Better get some neutralizing agents in here, Zorsky. Zorsky got on the phone. Machiko put her gun back in her holster. Too bad Attila couldn't have seen that. He would have been proud of her. She turned and walked over to where Abner Brookings stood, bloodied and horrified. She tapped his chest. Hello? Hello? Anyone in there? No, I wasn't infected. Don't cut me open, I swear. She looked at him in disgust. I was talking about your heart. Recovering, Evanston had somehow found a towel and was wiping off the blood. Nurse, have that body taken out of here and destroyed immediately. The problem hits a little closer to home, Evanston. Evanston nodded. Yes, that's why I hired you and the others. An excellent choice, all of us. You worked well this morning? His words were strained. Very well. Good. I'm sure you're going to be busy very soon. Fine. That's what we're here for. She found a towel herself and began to get rid of some of the blood. Funny, it didn't really bother her. After the business on Ryushi, after her time with the pack, after helping those miners, she'd experienced plenty of blood, much of it hers. A detail. That tour of the genetic biolab, said Machiko. I really should have a look. There may be infection. Evanson shook his head. I can't. I'm in no state now for any kind of silly tour. This evening, then? No. No, I'm sorry. Well, tomorrow. Tomorrow I want you to go out again and do what I hired you to do, Noguchi. His voice was firm. I will advise my scientists and workers to look out for infiltration into their systems. When things are down to a mild raw here, I'll be happy to show you the place myself. Surely someone else can. Have you forgotten? I am your employer. I make the rules. Now leave me be. I have... He shook his head sadly. To take a shower and start coordinating precautions against these things. He put a chubby hand on her shoulder. Thanks for the good work here, though. And the quick thinking. Good thing you let me wear a sidearm, she said. Better if you'd let me see that biolab. No, he said firmly, and began walking away. That's impossible. She looked down at the body of Petropitsky, eyes wide open and face frozen in a rictus of terror. She could sense it now. Something was very wrong here, and it wasn't just the yautja. It wasn't just the kind that Amada.